So I have here a Radio Shack fast charger. It was built in, you can see the date code, it's 05A03, 5th month of 2003. So I've plugged it in and let it charge up these batteries. Come on, focus, thank you. The batteries are at about 49 degrees. Charger's a tad warm. There we go. Was charged for about 20 minutes, which I kind of thought was a bit strange because I thought the batteries actually were fully charged when I stuck them on there. But either which way, the batteries are nice and warm, and now I can take the charger apart. And what I'll probably do is stick those batteries once they've cooled off into one of my other chargers and see how warm they get. So I checked the internet. Apparently 49 degrees isn't bad for charging. So let's pop this open. I spent a whole $1 on it. Let's see, we got one screw there, and I can feel a spot right in there. Right there. Come on. Yeah. I'm going to cut a small little hole. But before I do that, let's look at the specs on this. Output is 2.8 volts, 1.2 amps if you only got two AAs in there, and 600 milliamps if you've got four AAs in there. Plus all the normal certifications. So this is model 23-043. Now I can open it up. Well, I fumble away at this, not realizing how many screws there actually is. The date codes is actually kind of interesting. I found on the internet that essentially it is something like, on this one it's 05 indicating month. A is just used as a separator, and then 03 is for the year. Apparently they do have single digit ones for year, in which case trying to figure out when it was built is be a bit more problematic. Maybe you'll find something on the chips. But as you can see, I'm still fumbling away, going, oh, why doesn't this come apart? Okay, I've felt the stupid thing several times and still nothing. And I'm like, okay, I really don't want to break this. Wait a second. There's just too much resistance. Resistance is futile. Okay, back to regular speed now. Okay, obviously, I should have felt it a bit more. But what I'm going to do is something, can't save this one now, is I started pouring some ISO on here to see if it'll loosen up that label. Because I actually wanted to take the label, off in many pieces. I mean as one piece. But that's not going to happen now as one piece. I probably could have also just heated it. Not with the ISO, of course. Okay. In the future, I'm going to have to remember that, is maybe just try to peel the whole thing off. And this is why the plastic made a cracking sound. Okay. Push you through. Oh, there's There we go. More destructive than I had planned. So let's peel away the tiny bit more of this stuff here, so we can see the bottom side unobstructed. Oh, come on. Oh. Sounded like it was trying to come out. There's some tape holding it in. Oh. Pins fell down. There we go. Oh, that was kind of cute. So here's the top of the board. Let's see some obvious stuff. Some capacitors. Okay, gonna double check this. It's all shorted out, no charge on that cap. So continuing on the next day, I've done up a schematic of this part in here. We got the line voltage coming in here, the neutral there, and there. Line goes through a fuse, then coming over to the the inductor here, it goes through TH1, which is an SCK152, negative temperature coefficient thermistor. So strictly for inrush to slow it down so it doesn't damage anything. This capacitor here, that one there, is a 100 NK275V. It's an X2 capacitor meant for line to neutral. Now, on the flip side, they have two little resistors in there to help discharge it. 240K each. And they're literally right underneath the capacitor. Once we get past this inductor, I measured out the pins. This is not the proper numbering convention, but I went 1, 2, 3, 4 to make my life easier. When it comes out of there, it goes to these diodes. 1N4007, and you're not going to be able to see that. Standard bridge rectification. And then they have a tiny little capacitor there, which is a ceramic. It's 1000 picofarad, 1 kilovolt. And then all of it comes out over onto these two black lines, or black wires, leading over here. I've already removed that blue heat shrink that was on here. There was some gunk right there, picture there. All that was glue. At first I thought the capacitor had maybe popped, but no. And it was sitting right on top of the TDA 16833. I'll put a picture there of it. And that's as far as I'm going on the schematic, because it's basically a switching power supply. The TDA 16833 is the pulse width modulation part of it. Pin 2 is the feedback coming back to it. And you can see a couple of the pins, 4 and 5, are with a huge amount of solder down here. Other things of note, other than the transformer here, is you've got a protection capacitor there. I'll put in the corner which one it is. Coming over into here, you actually have, and it's hard to see in there, but There's a 7805 voltage regulator. Then other things on here, we have two A1273 PNPs. I'll put what I can find about them there. And let's see, what else? Oh, covering up there. Not sure if you're going to be able to see the numbers, but it's an NEC 2561 photocoupler for communication from this side to that side. Now, oh, and down here we have two glass thermistors, which will be feeding how hot this battery is getting to the processor controller that's on the other side. Now let's see, anybody else on here? Nah. Let's flip it over. Well, I'm definitely not doing the schematic for all of this part in here. Cough, cough. I'll probably have to edit this. LM 358 op amp, or dual op amps. And there's another one over here. Let's see if we can get it. Might be able to see that. Then we have the mystery chip here. It's called JEC003. Now just give me a moment and I'm going to peel that off. It has been ground off. Tried to get the numbers on it. They didn't do a good job at grinding, but they did a good enough job. You can just see a few of the letters. But it's going to be the microcontroller. So what else on this side? Just capacitors, more diodes. Everything's nicely marked up like D, D6, D9. Oh, and for the bridge, they actually called it BD1, BD2 for bridge diodes. How good of them. Let's see what else in here. Not a lot that I'm going to be able to work with. So that's about it for this. That's kind of weird. There's that cold solder joint here. But I'm probably muttering now. So, there we go. From 2003. Okay, I've got some batteries in here. I've got it hooked up to line voltage. Here's the other end. I've made sure that I've got these connected properly. I don't recommend doing this at home. Some people might be going, no, you got to have those plastic rubbery things on these. Well, even if you have the plastic rubbery things on these and you're hooking up to line voltage, I don't recommend that. So, let's plug it in. No bang. You can see I had just finished soldering for those. Okay. And now we'll see how this warms up. Right off the bat, let's pull the trigger. Make sure I'm pointing at the right thing. Okay, the one battery's warming up real quick. Okay, I'm going to be fast forwarding this, obviously. There we go. Actually, no, I'm on the wrong target there. Batteries are fine. Yeah, it's that spot right there, which looks like it is. Let's get the laser out. Okay, that is right about where that 7805 is located. And this is hard to do without my glasses on. There we go. So let's see how warm this is getting. That one spot is at 52 degrees. And I'm not putting my fingers down there to point, but I will in a moment show. When you look over towards the transistors, the A1273s, they're getting nice and warm. The center says 47, whereas the high spot says 58 degrees now. Oops. Okay, I'm going to put it like that. Maybe that works a bit better. So that piece of metal, the heat shrink or heat sink there, is the hottest part. At 71.3. So how's this stuff up here doing? That's just 30 degrees. You have to go by that white dot. And then get over here. 54 degrees. Which means they're warmer than my clips. Definitely toasty in there. And it's actually transferring the heat to the upper part of this battery. That's not good for the battery. And same there. So it's actually unevenly heating the battery. Huh. And I don't want to destroy these batteries. These batteries were not cheap. Well, I think that's probably good enough. You can definitely tell that this thing gets toasty inside. That's very toasty. 80 degrees centigrade in the mess, that middle area there. Whereas the rest seems to be pretty good. And of course those transistors are up to 54-ish degrees, 58, 61, bouncing about. So, hey, I got to use my thermal imaging camera again. Woohoo! That's it for this video. And unplug over here first. And give it time to cool off.